Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Robert Zemeckis film, Allied. Allied is a film about a spy from either the U.S. or England somewhere, and he has to meet up with another spy during World War II. And these two people have to pretend to be a couple. Practically the second they meet, they have to pretend like they've known each other for years, that they're married, that they have all these stories about each other, and so forth. So the two of them kind of go along with it. There's parts obviously where the Marion Cotillard spy and the Brad Pitt spy have to live in this apartment together somewhere in Casablanca, I think. And the neighbors are very they kind of like to spy on each other and so forth. So they really have to convince people when they're outside and next to a window that they're talking about real couple things and real couple problems and um, things that a married couple would talk about and so forth, while also trying to personally get to know each other because they really don't know a lot about each other on a personal level. And so throughout the course of this film, they have to figure those things out and see if they can trust each other and so forth, because they were kind of given last minute directions and last minute details about each other and so forth. So as the film progresses and they go on more missions together and so forth, and they're still living together, they get closer to each other. They actually are feeling like they are really falling in love this time. So if they do decide to get married, it will be for real. It won't just be to do this pretend undercover mission that they're doing throughout the course of the movie. But as the film progresses, as they get married, as they really do start to fall for each other and have a child with each other and so forth, the Brad Pitt spy is informed by a person that he works with that the person he just married, the Marion Cotillard character, might possibly be a German spy undercover. And if that is the case, if Brad Pitt knows anything about that, not only will he be executed for covering it up, but he has to turn her over to authorities so they can take care of her right away, because this is around the time of the Red Scare, and anybody who's possibly working for Hitler or for Germany or for the Nazis and so forth, they have to be executed on the spot. And, any risk at all has to be getting rid of as soon as possible. So Brad Pitt, throughout the course of the film, has to figure out, has she been telling the truth? Is she really in love with him? Was having their child together something that she really felt, not just something that was happening over the course of their marriage? What exactly has she been hiding? So he has to figure out all this stuff. And if she is really telling the truth, if she really is not the spy, if she really is the spy, how exactly is he going to go about that? Because he really does love this woman, and how exactly can he go about this when his job is at stake and his own life is at stake as well? So, overall, guys, Allied I thought was okay. Robert Zemeckis is a very huge director. He's worked on Forrest Gump, the Back to the Future trilogy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Castaway, Polar Express, Flight, and The Walk not too long ago. He has tons and tons of great films on his record, and unfortunately, Allied is not one of his great ones. I really was not. It's a film where I liked it in parts, but there's never really a moment that I felt absolutely in love with it. Um, there's a part, where Brad Pitt is questioned if he's a German spy himself and so forth. I really think this film could have been about how people were really tested and really were pushed against their own beliefs, and that as a result favored the Red Scare or favored, you know, Adolf Hitler's reign of terror and so forth. But the film definitely is trying to be about so many things. It's trying to be about this romance. It's trying to be about the war. It's trying to be about this couple. It's trying to be about who can trust who and so forth. Though all those things are not bad, though all those things can make a great film, I don't know if Robert Zemeckis put all those pieces together to make a film of his own that quite lives up in the same league as, like, let's say, a Back to the Future or Forrest Gump or anything like that. So, but for my positives and negatives of Allied, I think there are some great performances here. I think Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard alone are very, very good in this movie. Lizzy Caplan from Now You See Me Too and The Interview is in this movie. She's also very good, though her role is very brief in the movie. I want to say one of the actors from Mission Impossible 5, I think, is in this as well. One of the villainous actors from that. But great performances overall. So acting wise, no really complaints there. I loved all the acting performances the way they were. I do like how this film does feel very tense at times. There's times where You really don't know where the film's going to go, who's telling the truth to who, and so forth. So I like how this film does feel very tense at times. Robert Zemeckis did a great job making sure everything felt tense, edge of your seat when it needed to be. So those moments at least felt very strong in this movie. There's also a whole espionage game element in this movie. And I think that's really goes into effect where Marion Cotillard and Brad Pitt are trying to figure out where the two of them stand with each other. You know, whether they are telling the truth to each other or telling lies, or just kind of playing around and seeing, you know, what's the level of trust, what's the level of lies, and so forth. Who's comfortable with what. So I kind of like that espionage game element in this movie that really, for the most part, worked for the most part in this movie, and it worked when it showed up, I guess. So I also think Robert Zemeckis did a great job making sure this film felt like World War II. We really do feel like we're back in this time period. We're back in this time that most of us have learned in history books and so forth. He really did a great job making sure that it didn't feel like something that was filmed in 2016, that we really did go back to the 40s and witness World War II ourselves with these characters. The third act of this film is also very suspenseful. That's when a lot of things are going, you know, they're going down. We're getting the answers that we really need to make this film work and so forth. So I thought this third act of this film was very suspenseful, very white knuckled. So the third act of this film, for the most part, worked pretty well. Alan Silvestri, who's known for scoring a lot of Robert Zemeckis' films, also scored this film, and I thought he did a very good job. He did a great job making sure everything felt tense and so forth. So Alan Silvestri, once again, gave a huge, great score for a Robert Zemeckis film. So huge thumbs up to him once again for really making sure that Robert Zemeckis had another great score to work with in one of his films. This film also has a lot of elements that really play off of the tragedy of war, how war can really tear people apart and really tear people's trust away with each other and so forth. So Robert Zemeckis did a great job with that element of this movie. Now for my negatives of Ally, because like I said, this really is not one of Robert Zemeckis' better films, and these negatives are going to tell you why. I thought the screen chemistry between Marion Cotillard and Brad Pitt, though very good, they gave great performances. I liked them as individuals, as characters. It really never felt romantic to me. I felt like the whole espionage game element of how can they trust each other, you know, are they telling lies, are they just playing around till the next mission shows up, that part worked. But when the film made the switch over to, okay, maybe now they're really falling in love with each other, I still felt like the whole espionage thing was still going on between the two of them. I really didn't feel a huge transition to romance that much. Like I said, great characters, great performances. I love Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard as people and as acting talents, but their screen chemistry here just really didn't work that well for me. Another negative I have with this movie is there's a lot of artificial looking shots. Even the opening shot alone with Brad Pitt landing in this desert with this parachute on him, like I said, happens like the first 4 minutes of the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. Very artificial looking. That is not a real desert. That is not a real desert that Brad Pitt is standing in. That is shot in a studio. There's also a scene here that's even shown in the trailer with Marion Cotillard and Brad Pitt making out in a car somewhere during a desert storm. Very cheesy. Clearly not. They're not out there filming that somewhere, you know, and so forth. So another artificial looking shot to me was there's a scene where the two of them are walking out of a building, and that is a set. That is not a place. That is a set in a studio somewhere, and I was kind of taken out of the movie for a second there because it really felt like something that was shot in a Hollywood studio somewhere. Another thing I had against this movie was it really was kind of a down on your luck kind of film. And I don't think Robert Zemeckis is really known for doing that. You know, films like Contact, films like Forrest Gump, films like Back to the Future, films like Castaway, they kind of inspire us to dream and to go for things and go for big goals and to never give up on those things that we love the most. I don't know if Robert Zemeckis made a film here that really belongs with all those other films. And maybe that was the intention, I don't really know. But it really had like a down on your luck kind of feeling to it. I really kind of felt bad about myself and the people around me because it was such a down on your luck to Zemeckis film. And like I said, I really don't know if I like Zemeckis making those kind of films. This film also really doesn't have a rewatch value. I really can't see myself rewatching this film a couple years down the road. I think this one and only time I saw it will probably be the one and only time I do see it. Really no rewatch value to this movie. And when the action does happen in this film, because it's really not an action film, it's a drama and a war and a romance film that happens to have action scenes in it. When the action does happen, it does feel a little abrupt. It feels kind of done at the last minute and so forth. And it just feels kind of abrupt and incomplete as a result. So, Allied, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it would make an okay Redbox rental, but it really is not one of Robert Zemeckis' best films. It's not the film we're going to remember him for. The screen chemistry, like I said, really not that great. Some artificial looking shots, a down on your luck feeling. The fact that there's really no rewatch value and the action feels a little bit abrupt kind of wear this film down. But like I said, great performances. It feels tense. The World War II setting does work for the most part. The score is great. The tragedy of war element works great, but there's just not enough for me to recommend here. And the best I can give it as a recommendation is a Redbox rental. So 7.5 out of 10 for me. Not a great film, not something you have to rush out and see. But if you happen to see it at Redbox for only $1 to rent one night, it's not a bad choice for that.